Hey guys, in my last video, I showed why Noah's Ark may never be found on Mount Ararat. Today, I will examine the results of the various searches for the Ark and why the Ark may never be found at all. Please note that this does not shake my faith in the Word of God as truth. So stay tuned, let's get started. Since the 1800s or earlier, dozens of expeditions have scaled Mount Ararat in hopes of finding evidence of Noah's Ark, and more are planned in the future. Dr. Andrew Snelling, the biblical geologist, believed Noah's Ark may never be found on Mount Ararat. Instead, it must have landed on another high mountain in the region at that time. The Bible clearly states that the Ark landed on the mountains of Ararat, not on Mount Ararat itself. Whether the remnants of Noah's Ark are found or not, the Word of God is true. So, let's examine the results of some of these searches over the years. At number 1, Ararat Anomaly. In 1949, photographs of the northwest side of Mount Ararat were taken by United States Intelligence Agency. A large structure can be seen jutting out of the ice and snow near the middle of the image. This object has captured the imagination of Ark hunters because it does resemble a portion of a large ship. This anomaly may simply be a rock outcropping with just the right amount of ice and snow melted away to give the illusion of a boat-shaped object. A satellite image taken in 2003 has breathed new life into the popularity of Ararat Anomaly. Presumably taken of the same spot on the mountain, this overhead shot shows an elongated structure that appears to have similar dimensions to Noah's Ark. Finding the Ark on Mount Ararat is very unlikely given that this dormant volcano last erupted in 1840, and many much larger eruptions occurred during the post-flood ice age. Then, how would a wooden structure survive being buried by molten lava? Also, Mount Ararat most likely emerged from the flood waters far too late to have been the mountain on which the Ark landed on the 158th day of the flood year. At number 2, Horror Gorge. The Horror Gorge is an enormous chasm on the northeast side of Mount Ararat, dropping more than 1 mile from the peak of the mountain. The Horror Gorge has been at the forefront of Ark seekers' expedition for about a century. Interest in this location was sparked by the claims of George Hagopian. He claimed that when he was a young boy in 1908, his uncle took him up Mount Ararat to the Horror Gorge area. Hagopian said that they found something that looked like a large ship partially buried by snow and ice. He claimed his uncle stood on a rock pile and lifted him up so that he could walk on the roof. At least a dozen expeditions have explored the Horror Gorge since Hagopian reportedly walked on the Ark's roof. However, to this day, none of these adventures has been able to find the remains of Noah's Ark at the Horror Gorge, even though satellite imagery has been used and explorers have searched the gorge when the glaciers has melted. At number 3, Ararat NAMI Site Expeditions. In 2010, a team of evangelical explorers claimed to have found evidence of Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat during their expeditions there 2 years earlier. The team represents Noah's Ark Ministries International, which is part of the Hong Kong-based The Media Evangelism. This group claims to be a Christian organization committed to developing a Christian media presence to promote the message of Jesus Christ. This group claimed to have found or were told about 7 wooden compartments buried on Mount Ararat, which they believe were part of Noah's Ark. They even produced a video showing team members presumably inside one of these wooden structures. Although everyone would be delighted if the Ark is actually found, this discovery is almost certainly a hoax. At number 4, Dulpina Site. Made popular in the 1980s by Ron Wyatt and others, the arc-shaped formation lies approximately 15 miles from the summit of Mount Ararat. Wyatt had claimed to have found numerous artifacts in the vicinity to corroborate his claims. In the last few years, the Dulpina Site has again risen to prominence after being promoted on several websites as the real Noah's Ark. Despite its ark-like appearance and popularity, Christian geologists and archaeologists who would love to find the Ark and who have visited the location have roundly rejected the Dulpina Site as nothing more than a geologic formation. Number 5. Mart Cody or Judi. Some ancient writers said people could still see the Ark in New Testament times at Mart Cody. An expedition found wood in 1953, encouraging further expeditions. Then at number 6, Mount Suleiman. A military veteran named Ed Davis claimed to have seen the remains of Noah's Ark during World War II while he was stationed in Iran. Based on his understanding of this report, Bob Connock, a base institute-led expeditions to Mount Suleiman, also called the Throne of Solomon in 2005 and 6 to explore an alternative site for Noah's Ark. Connock provided several details about the site that he believed is a candidate for the remains of Noah's Ark. His team found rocks that were uncannily beam-like in appearance, over 13,000 feet up the mountain, a worship shrine, and fossilized clams in abundance on the top of an adjoining peak. Despite these assertions, there are multiple problems with the notion that the Ark came to rest on Mount Suleiman. The biggest problem is that Mount Suleiman lies 250 miles east of the farthest known reaches of the ancient Ararat region. As such, this mountain does not match the biblical description that the Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat, as in Genesis chapter 8, verse 4. The search for the Ark will certainly continue. Now, let's examine some of these interesting points to note about the Ark. A wooden beam from the Ark found. In 1993, a CBS program, The Incredible Discovery of Noah's Ark, featured a Frenchman who reported he found a wooden beam in a crevice on Ararat and saw a large dark object under the ice in 1955. Finan Navarra's son shot black and white film footage of his father carrying the beam down the mountain. The program described the wood's radiocarbon age as 5,000 years, but laboratory testing concluded the wood was less than 2,000 years old. Also, members of the expedition said Navarra purchased the wood in town and carried it up the mountain before he supposedly discovered it. Was the interior of the Ark found? After a Turkish guide claimed to discover interior compartment of the Ark, a Hong Kong-based ministry, NAMI, sent a team to the site. And in 2010, the team announced they had recovered wooden specimens which they believed were part of the Ark. They produced a video and shared several photos of team members inside the structure. Evidence of possible fraud was rife. The Kurdish man who led the team did not allow the team's experts to visit the site, and the research and report had numerous inconsistencies. Further reports of visits to this site, including claims of the discovery of archaeological artifacts, are vague. Radiocarbon dating of the wood claimed to come from this site yielded ages that are far too recent to be from the Ark. And some pieces of the wood have visible evidence of modern wood, with modern machining marks on it. Will Noah's Ark ever be found? Based on the fact that Mount Ararat rests upon volcanic strata on top of sediment laid down by the flood, we can be rather confident that the Ark will never be found on this mountain. But should we expect to find Noah's Ark elsewhere? As amazing as it will be to find the famous Ark, the following details make such a scenario highly unlikely. The Ark may have been repurposed after the flood. Immediately following the flood, wood for construction and fires might not have been readily available for several years. Noah's family may have torn down much of the structure for this purpose. Another problem is decay over time. Wooden structures do not generally last for centuries, even if treated with pitch. Freezing has its share of problems. Some have proposed that the Ark is trapped in glacier, thus preserving the wood from decay. However, glaciers advance and recede. Such movement would tear the ark to shreds. Do you think Ron Watts or others have found the ark? Let us know in comment section. Kindly like and share with friends and family on social media. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and enable notification so you continue to get updates when we post new videos. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.